Is South Africa's foreign relations positions forcing us further and further down the road of irrelevance until eventually we fall out of the top 10 African economies? We all remember Cyril Ramaphosa promising to turn the country into a building site. He said this in his State of the Nation address, yet the government can't manage the few building projects that they have already. Let's dive in a little deeper. So, you know that awkward moment when you have to uninvite somebody from a function? You know, perhaps you were going to invite somebody, but somebody else was going to invite their ex, and you eventually have to spin the coin as to who's going to uninvite one or the other, because it's really awkward if the one comes and the other won't come. Well, France got that feeling because you might recall when South Africa ruled the world, when President Ramaphosa was president of the world for a week, when we had the G20 summit in the formerly great city of Johannesburg. And the European leaders were taken with Cyril and his great smile. And nobody was taken more than the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, who came to the G20 and then said what wonderful job South Africa had done. Well, it turns out that France are the host of the more elite group, the G7, the group of 7 biggest economies in the world. And every year, whoever hosts that event gets to invite a few countries that are, more important countries, but not in the G7. And South Africa has got quite used to being one of those countries that get invited to the G7. Well, Macron issued the invitation to Cyril Ramaphosa last November when he was here for the G20 summit, only to be told by America, if President Cyril Ramaphosa comes, then President Donald Trump is not going to the G7 meeting. So he decided to send that awkward WhatsApp saying, "Hi, bud, please don't come to the party. Your ex is going to be there, and we don't want drama." And then to make matters worse, he felt that he had to have some country from Africa in the room, so we will now be replaced by Kenya. Now, we've got to understand that Paris was forced to walk back this invitation because, surprise, surprise, any president of a decent country will choose the well-being of their country over some struggle credentials from the 1980s. Right? And obviously, France have got massive trade links with America. Trade links, military links, social links. Not so much with South Africa. What do? We have a couple of Peugeots and, a couple of Citroens, and we eat croissants. Now, President Ramaphosa and his team of geniuses seem to have been caught off guard as they do not appear to grasp the concept that we all know so well and we have to live with every day, and that is the concept that actions have consequences. And if you listened to the statements made by Cyril Ramaphosa's personal Goebbels, Vincent Magwenya, he implied that South Africa is going to adopt the strategy of accepting this uninvitation and not pitching up in Paris. And we'll kind of wait until the end of Donald Trump's term in 2029. That's when he vacates the White House. Well, there's 2 massive problems with this tactic. 2 very massive problems with this tactic. Really, the kind of insinuation is that we're going to hold our foreign relations line, which is to support anybody that stands against the West, while hoping to trade with the West, because the countries we stand with have not got decent economies. So the first problem with that tactic is that Magwenya and his other team of geniuses clearly have made the decision that somebody will replace Donald Trump who will undo a whole lot of the decisions made by Donald Trump. But there's got to be a likelihood that somebody who is in Donald Trump's camp right now replaces him and voters actually vote them in. You could have J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio as president. They may do a good job and stick around for 8 years. That means that we have to wait until 2037 until you get another Barack Obama who's going to put up with South Africa, befriending their enemies. It's a long time to wait. And while this is happening, the world is going to move forward, and we're not going to move forward. And that is the one threat to this tactic of trying to just wait until Donald Trump is no longer the president of the US. He may be replaced by somebody who shares his mindset. Secondly, the big danger with us biding our time is that our current economic policies and our international positions have guaranteed that South Africa will not experience economic growth. For starters, we don't have the electricity to grow. We don't have the business laws that allow us to grow. We are already lagging other African countries like Egypt and Nigeria, right, as the biggest economy. The rest of Africa is growing at more than 5% per annum. We are lucky if we grow at 1%. And other countries, Kenya being a good example, growing at 5%, we could find these countries going right past us. For starters, they're in a better position geographically than we are. We're right at the bottom of this massive continent. They are further up. They might take our business, our tourism business. They've got game parks that have got far more animals than ours. And while we are busy kicking our heels, being a mediocre country that slips down the ranking of nations, we will lose respect in the world. We need to do more than just win the odd Rugby World Cup, right? It helps, but the country itself has to grow. The country has to improve. The country has to add value to the world, become a lot more productive than what we are. We're not doing this. It was put at a recent News 24 conference by the renowned economist Adrian Saville, where he stated that South Africa is choosing unemployment. He pointed out that we've got these impossible barriers to entry for new entrepreneurs. We make it so difficult for any capital to invest in our country. Local government is a mess, so you don't know whether you're going to have water or roads that you can drive on. There's no traffic lights. There's no street lights. And then we've got our old mate BEE, which is not going to help grow the economy because just changing a couple of shareholders doesn't make a company bigger. And he also suggests that perhaps we should take math seriously and make it a compulsory subject at school. These are just basic things that we are not doing. Oh, yes, and how about we reintroduce law and order? While all of this is happening, South Africa can't grow. We are going to stand still at best. Remember, we've got a population that grows at the rate of about 2% per annum and economy that grows at a rate of 1% per annum. We get poorer every year, which means that countries that we never before ever thought we would need to compete with are going to come past us. Countries like Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Ghana. Right? And we could find ourselves going further and further down the road. Now, it's quite amusing to me on this issue of us being kicked out of the G7, as an observer, as a participant, that people like Vincent Magwenya speak lovingly about France. When France were one of the two largest colonial powers in Africa and the damage they did was terrible. And we meant to be the fighter of the poor guy, but yet we demonized the US that never had any colonies in the world, never mind just in Africa. So I think that we've got to revisit some of our foreign relations policies, and we've got to understand that the world will respect you if you are adding value. And right now, we are not adding any value, and it shouldn't come as a surprise to the president or his spokesman that France have uninvited us from the party. Before we carry on, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Trade Nation. Remember, if you want to trade commodities or currencies or financial markets, Trade Nation's the platform for you. Go and visit them. Their contact details are in the description below. Go and have a trade. I'd like to talk about the Auditor General, Tsakani Maluleke. She's somebody who I am really, really impressed with. And she's released her latest report on government departments and state-owned entities, which reveals ongoing delays and systemic failures in delivering and maintaining public infrastructure. Now, I started off by saying that, remember, the president said that he's going to turn South Africa into a building site. We're going to spend 1 trillion rand on new developments. Well, imagine being the Auditor General. Every year you got to prepare a report, you got to hand it over, and the president, I think, takes it to the gentleman's room and does what you do with a report like that, because they never act on her recommendations. According to her report, 152 infrastructure projects were audited by her office, and 109 of them, more than 2/3, were experiencing delays. And the average delay, listen to this, is 41 months, 3.5 years. In China, they build a power station in 6 months. Some of our projects, which have already begun, are delayed for 3.5 years. Her report says these delays are linked to a failure to appoint replacement contractors when the first contractor does a dirty, as they do. There's a lack of consequence management for poor performing contractors. We've got administrative inefficiencies, really, and delayed payments. I can't believe they get paid at all. It depends who you are. If you Cat Matlala, you get paid in advance. Her report goes on to say these issues do not only delay service delivery, but also expose infrastructure to vandalism and theft, especially in the absence of security measures. Now, there are a couple of projects which the government has spent our taxpayer money on, which are just lying there. And soon enough, as we do in South Africa, people will come along and they'll break down an existing, this is an African thing completely. People won't go and live in the half-built building and finish it. They'll actually take the bricks and try and build a building elsewhere. But anyway, the 152 infrastructure projects that are lagging behind by so far have got a combined cost of more than 47 billion rand. And these included schools, health facilities, housing projects, roads, water infrastructure, government buildings. I think it's just about everything that we are talking about that is problematic in the country. We've got this problem every year with not enough schools. Well, there's schools that are half-built. Hospitals. The government wants to nationalize private healthcare, but they won't finish building their own hospitals. Housing. We talk about squatter camps and homelessness. Well, you've got projects that are half-built. Roads. Need I say more? Water infrastructure. Really? I wonder why Johannesburg has had sporadic water for the last year or so. And government buildings, well, yeah, that's fairly obvious. So the president lied to us at the State of the Nation address, saying he's going to turn the country into this construction site, because I don't think they have any intention. And he said that the government will spend more than 1 trillion rand on infrastructure builds. Why, when you won't finish the projects that have already started? Heaven help us. We're in the hands of the wrong people. But you're in the good hands here at Political Insider. Join us, subscribe to the channel, help us to grow, and we will see you again with more breaking news and important stuff on the Political Insider. Thanks for joining us today.